there, and welcome to Q&A with Giselle. This month, I am going to be talking to you about the transition from an H-1B to a green card. This is a topic that is it's a hot topic, as many other hot topics in immigration, but really important for foreign nationals and also for employers. So here are the questions that I am going to be answering for you. And these are questions that I receive from you all. So if you want to have your question considered and answer, which is also going to benefit many others, please make sure that you send them to us. And I will be happy to answer in an upcoming Q&A. But this is what I am going to be talking to you today. So the three questions that I have for you are, when should I start the green card process for my H-1B employee? What are the three steps, or what are the steps? There are actually three for the employment-based green card process. And what is the importance of starting the employment-based green card process for our H-1B employee? So let's start with the first one. When should I start the green card process for my H-1B employee? And I get this question a lot. I think a lot of it is because the timelines are so variable, and the processing times right now are taking much longer. They seem to just get longer and longer every time. So I wish, of course, that I can tell you an exact time when you could start this process for your foreign national in H-1B status. But the answer involves many aspects. And so I'm just going to, I'm going to give you a general overview as to what you need to consider. One of it is the time left on the current H-1B that the employee has. As you may know, the H-1B has a total of 6 years maximum status. And if the green card process is not started early within those 6 years, you may come to the end of 6 years of a very valuable employee that you cannot keep in the United States, and that person needs to go abroad for at least a year. So the timeline, the timing, how long is left on the current H-1B out of those 6 years is really important, especially if you're transferring an employee that already has an H-1B from another employer, and you may not necessarily know how much time is left. So that is about one of the first questions that I always ask when I'm working with a client that is transferring an H-1B employee. Obviously, if the employee obtained their first H-1B with you, and they have been with you for the whole time in H-1B status, we would know what that is. But if you're transferring an employee, this is when how much time is left become a really important question. Of course, the costs involved in the process and the energy associated with the process, time, cost, energy, and the business needs. This is always something that I ask the employer. How important is this foreign national? How much value do they add to the business unit, to the department? Because the green card process is a huge retention tool. So that is something else to consider. And of course, the processing times. If we come to a point that PERMs are taking 2 years, then that also means that the H-1B to green card process needs to begin much sooner, okay? The process is lengthy. The green card process, the employment-based green card process for an H-1B worker, is lengthy, it's bureaucratic, it's irregular. So being very proactive about it is really, really important. So if you have someone that is an H-1B status and the green card process has not started, and you're a client of ours, you typically would know because this is something that we address we do regular immigration reports with our clients where we review every case that we have that we're partnering with them on. And this is a regular topic of conversation. How much time is there left on H-1B status? When do we need to start the green card process? So in short, the sooner the better. But of course, again, energy, processing times, cost, all of that comes into play. So I typically say at a minimum, and this is, just based on current processing times, the latest that you should start is when the person has at least, I want to say 2.5 years of H-1B status left. If you're really trying to push that H-1B time, again, we start looking at it with our clients when there is at least 3 years of H-1B status left, at the latest 2.5. Okay? So that's the answer to when you should start the green card process for your H-1B employee, the latest. You can always start after the first year in H-1B status or the second year. You can start at any point. It really, again, you have to consider, and we consider with our employers, clients, various factors to determine when to start the green card process. What are the steps of the employment-based green card process? As I mentioned before, it's divided in 3 phases for most employment-based green card process, particularly, again, if we're talking about an H-1B. Typically, the first part of that process is through the Department of Labor and is called, in short, PERM, P-E-R-M, or labor certification. Okay, that's the first part. It is through the Department of Labor and is currently taking about 2 years to get through the labor certification process if there is no audits or some other challenge in the process. The second part, once you come out of, when you have a certified labor certification, we move out of the Department of Labor back to Immigration Services, USCIS. And the first filing with USCIS is Form I-140, or the immigrant petition, which is the equivalent of Form I-129, which is the non-immigrant petition that is filed for the H-1B worker. Now, that H-1B worker will continue to be and will need to be in H-1B status until they get the green card. So this process, this green card process, is kind of a parallel process to the H-1B status. So just because you started the green card process for the foreign worker does not mean that they do not need to keep their H-1B status valid. And in fact, again, they need to keep it valid. That's what allows them to work in the United States. And this is part, again, for why you're doing this green card process, so that you can continue to keep that H-1B status valid. So again, I said there were 3 steps. The first one is the labor certification through the Department of Labor. Once the labor certification gets certified, which again is taking about 2 years now, so you have to start counting backwards for the H-1B status that is left. Then we go to, again, Form I-140, which is the immigrant petition. If that immigrant petition is premium process, putting it together, filing it, and getting it through USCIS can take about 2 months. If it's not premium process, it can take 6 to 7 months. So that process, again, could take you 6, 7 months if it's not premium. A lot of our clients premium this I-140 because they have to do it in order to continue to extend the H-1B status. And then the last step is what is called adjustment of a status, where the person will adjust status from H-1B to a green card. Again, just because the adjustment of status was filed, which is filed in Form I-485, does not mean that that person doesn't need to renew their H-1B status. That H-1B needs to be extended all the way until they get the green card. Now, for some foreign nationals from India, from China, there is the priority date. Well, it's priority date for everybody. But if those foreign workers, there is a cap per country in order to obtain a green card. So those numbers for green cards are capped per country. And because there is such a big demand for foreign nationals from India and China for green cards, there is a long wait list. So even though you may have gotten an I-140 approved, that foreign worker may not be able to file an adjustment of status, the last step of the green card process, for several years until their priority date becomes current. In the meantime, though, again, because now you have an I-140 that is approved, then you can continue to extend that H-1B status for 3 years at a time beyond the 6-year limit. And this is actually the biggest benefit of being able to, the biggest benefit and the biggest need of moving into the green card process for an H-1B worker, that they're able to continue to extend that H-1B status, and you can keep them on payroll and working beyond the 6 years because they have an I-140 approved, which is a huge benefit for the employer and the foreign national, because at this point, again, they're very valued employees. So that kind of brings me to the last question that I had. What is the importance of starting the employment-based green card process for your H-1B employees? Kind of somewhat repeating what I've said before, the biggest benefit of this is of starting the green card process, particularly for those foreign nationals from China and India, is that you will be able to continue to extend their H-1B status beyond the 6 years, which is a tremendous advantage. If the green card process is not started timely, and timely is variable, but at least, again, within 2.5 years of the end of their H-1B status, the person would have to leave the United States, go back to abroad for at least a year, and then go through the H-1B cap again and get selected in order to go back into H-1B status. So it's a huge nightmare, much smoother process, and what pretty much all of our clients do is move into that green card process at some time while the person is in H-1B status and has enough time to get through the process and get an I-140 certified, approved, so that they can continue to extend their H-1B. Benefits, again, for the employer: talent retention, competitive edge, because now you have, again, someone that is experienced, that you value, that are valued by their team. They know your work. It's just replacing that employee can be very costly. Increased company loyalty and commitment, because this become very seasoned, stable employees that are really good for the business. And of course, diversity and skill and innovation, which is just essential for our economy. And then, of course, many benefits for the foreign national employee: job security. They feel appreciated. They are thrilled to be in line for the green card, because when the PERM labor certification is filed, that is when they obtain that priority date that is so essential to put them in line for the green card. Career opportunities, and of course, that path to that beautiful dream of obtaining a green card. So that is it for these questions for this month. I hope this was very helpful for you. Thank you for joining me. And if you find this beneficial, as always, I take the time to do this because I believe in the value of adding this knowledge to the community, our community of corporate immigration, and saving you time, and hopefully saving time to your colleagues and giving peace of mind to your foreign workers. So if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, which is where these Q&As are posted, please do so and encourage others to do so. Until next time, I will be talking to you in July with another Q&A that answers the questions that you have as corporate immigration in the corporate immigration world. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.